What's up, creeps? Exorcist here, and it is time for another edition of Scurred. All right, we always get some winners, but that means we always have some losers too. And this time we are talking about the loser known as Mr. Creep. Okay, brand new movie. It's out on Amazon. You can rent it if you want to, or I can save you $4 by watching this review. So there were some good things about Mr. Creep, and then the majority of it was just garbage. So we'll give you the good, we'll give you the bad, we'll give you the ugly, and then we'll give you the Scurred scale. Before I get too far into anything, though, I want to remind you guys to go download the brand new Scurred app. You won't find stupid questions about Mr. Creep in it, but you'll find questions about a lot of your favorite horror movies. So I want you to jump in there, go to the App Store. If you have an iPhone, download Scurred Trivia. Go find it. I'll drop the card. It's up in the corner there. You click that, download it on your phone, and test your horror movie knowledge with the brand new Scurred Trivia app. I should get paid to do this. Anyway, back into it. Mr. Creep, 2022 film, and I do not know what the bananas is going on with this movie. Okay, it has a lot of good elements, and actually, when we get to the plot point of this, I'm going to tell you that I gave it a point for plot because I liked the idea. The concept was okay, though overdone, and not very original in some parts. There were things that I really liked about it. So let's just jump into it. This is going to be a short video with lots of goose eggs in every category. But let's get into it. Straight out of the gate, the cast. I was not impressed. There are basically four friends that are kind of the main characters behind this, and it feels extremely forced. It just wasn't really into it. The bad guy himself, Mr. Creep, was probably the only one that did worth a darn. And Brian Anderson played him. You don't ever see his face. He has this like clown-looking mask on. I mean, it's creepy. I'll give it that. That's the clown thing is always. I don't like it. But besides that, I was just not impressed with the rest of the cast. Again, everything seemed very forced. Anytime something could go wrong, it did go wrong. You know, the car won't start right before the killer gets you kind of thing. There was a little old lady in it, and she was pretty crazy. I don't know what her name is, but I'd give her a point all by herself because she goes bananas and tries to stab everybody because she's like in love with Mr. Creep or is a friend of Mr. Creep or what. So cast, no point from the Scurred crew. Okay, not happening. Going into setting. So here's where, in my opinion, the whole thing really just goes downhill. Okay, so it takes place in kind of a small town, Texas. And I don't know if you've ever been to small town Texas, but y'all got a gun. Everybody has a gun in Texas, except for these four individuals and the little old lady who's a stabber. But everybody else in Texas has a gun. Nowhere in the course of any of this do you ever see a gun. So right out of the gate, it's not really all that believable in small town Texas. But it gets worse because they start making really bad decisions. Hey, we want to find out more about Mr. Creep. It's kind of becoming a murder mystery at this point. So what they decide to do is break into an old abandoned jail. Well, they just left all of the records and documentation regarding this serial killer and several other people. So bad idea number one. Let's go into the creepy old jail that's abandoned and see what happens. Okay. And then they find the doll. Now, the doll is particularly upsetting to me, even though this isn't something with the plot. The doll kind of ticks me off because what the doll is like a jigsaw doll. I don't love it. I just don't love it. Like, what the doll thing's been done to death. And the movies where they do it, it's actually good. This one has a doll thing done to death, and it's not very good. So, that said, yeah, setting, nothing. But we'll go to the plot. This is where they do pick up a point, as I had said previously in the video, and let me tell you why. Here is what they did right. This is kind of a found footage show, which I always appreciate a good found footage show. What they're doing is they are talking and interviewing Mr. Creep from his prison cell. And, he's going off and almost the devil made me do it kind of capacity, which is also overdone, and we know that. But he's I don't know, he's just creepy. You know what? Why did you do this? Why did you kill these people? Tell me where the body is. And he's like, God made me do it. God made me do it, kind of thing. And you know, I don't know. So that part of it was not great. The idea behind it was okay. Like, they say he's still broadcasting his murders and information across a frequency on like loop, repeat. That part I love. That was super original and something that no movie, maybe with the exception of White Noise, has really pulled off. The static in the TV where they just pick up the frequency and they're like, oh my God, it's real. We got to go find it. Absolutely brilliant point to the plot. And that's why I gave him a point. Everything beyond that, just garbage. I mean, there's nothing that the whole beginning starts off with a bunch of cops that are investigating a different crime scene, and they're all killed, and all you see is a little doll. Like, is a doll doing it? Who's doing it? Why? It just makes no sense. So clever in a little tiny part of the plot. I was nice enough to give them a point. Now we'll go on to special effects. The special effects in this movie are almost zero, but that really works into their favor, especially in the horror genre. In my opinion, people can really, really overdo it on the special effects. And this one, they didn't. They had the creepy little doll who laid on the floor and watched you in the camera, and then you turn around and the creepy doll's gone. They have this clown-faced guy in a prison. No special effects, none of this business, just straight costume and very, very clean cut stuff. So I did generously give them a point on special effects, though there weren't many. The ones that were in there and the overall conservativeness in using special effects, maybe it was a budget thing, but you see that in found footage. Wasn't there, and that was to their credit. So we'll give them that one. Continuity, jeez Louise, this thing was all over the place. In this setting, out of that setting, back into the prison, watching the footage, watching the TV, listening to the recordings, back into the prison, interview this guy, interview that guy, crazy old lady. Huh? It's just, there's too much. There's too much going on, and I get it, found footage clips, they have to be smushed together. But look at the Blair Witch Project. Look at some of these different films where they've gone and they've taken a whole week's worth of footage, put it together, and made a cohesive story. This one did not do that whatsoever. None, zero, zip, no points. No points for you. Okay? The antagonist. Oh, I struggle with this one a little bit because there is the creepy clown and there is the stupid little creepy doll, and they're both Mr. Creeps. But what I don't think about the antagonist that works for me is, one, really overdone, as we've stated, but two, they don't really go into a lot of, why or the background or who is this guy or, what bodies are you looking for and all of this stuff. So even though we have a bad guy and he's broadcasting brilliantly on frequencies, television, we don't really know about him. We don't really get to feel like afraid of him in any capacity because we know he's locked up. He's sitting there rocking back and forth in a straitjacket. He can't do no harm, right? So how's this guy scary? Yeah, there's a creepy little doll, but it's a creepy little doll. I mean, outside of Chucky, ain't scared. Okay, so 0 points for antagonist. Don't think they did a good job. They should have defined him more. They should have given him a better sense of purpose or clarity of purpose or something. They just failed to do so in Mr. Creep. Let's jump into the ending, which also gets a big fat goose egg. 0 points. None. Zip, zilch, nada. Okay. What? What? If you make it far enough into this movie where you can see the end, I'm going to give you a point. I like that. You get a Scurred point on the Scurred scale because you have some absolute fortitude to be able to sit there and do nothing. When you get to the end, you're just like, oh, why? Why? So, especially if you love found footage, you've absolutely wasted an hour, a little over an hour of your entire life doing this. So, really quite sad that it ended the way it did. There was no ending that was going to make this film better. To its credit, it was darned if it did and darned if it didn't. So 0 for that. You know that we go through Spooked, Shaken, and Scurred. What level of scary was this? None. It's no levels of scary. I didn't even give it Spooked, which I've given, some pretty, I don't know, not scary things spooked at some level. This one, not it. So when we look at the Scurred scale overall as a whole, adding up all the points, guess what? I do have enough fingers on one hand. Mr. Creep gets a big fat 2. Yep, it's the deuces. You know what I mean. So save your time, save your money. I'm not even going to drop a link down in the description to rent this on Amazon. I'd feel dirty if you went and rented this one. So I know it's a little bit of a scathing review. I haven't given out a lot of 2s. We seem like we've been pretty generous, but there's been some decent movies coming out over the last 6 to 12 months. This is not one of them. Don't bother. Mr. Creep is a losing proposition. So that's about it. That's I'm gonna play around with some editing stuff like that. Maybe I'll give you a cute little picture of the dollar. You'll see it in the reel, whatever it is. But overall, save yourself some time, save yourself some money, and even when it's free and you have nothing better to do, take a nap before you watch Mr. Creep, which gets a big fat 2 on the Scurred scale. Okay. All right, that's wrapping it up. Mr. Creep 2022 film 2. That's it. That's all there is. A big fat 2. And we'll move on to the next one. So as I always say, I'm Exorcist, and until next time, sleep tight.